So now it is actually time to move on to the second part of the first session. So we are still discussing about the sustainability aspect of the initiative, and it is now my pleasure to first call in this second part Professor Vincent Blondel, who is director from Université Catholique de Louvain and representing EC2U Alliance. We will have also in this panel Professor Lenka Rovna from University of Charles in Prague and representing 4EU+. And we will also have Professor Antonella Forlino from Pavia, Vice-Rector for Internationalisation, representing the Alliance EC2U. But it is first to Vincent Blondel to present his presentation on EC2U with the title European Universities, Challenges for Creating Sustainable Cross-Border Collaboration in the European Landscape.
Thank you for the opportunity for sharing some of my thoughts and some of the thoughts of the EC2U. So I'm director of the UCLouvain, University of Louvain, and we part of EC2U, and it's on that behalf that I'd like to share some of the thoughts of our University Alliance. Perhaps next. So next, yes. So EC2U has 7 universities listed here. It's not yet a University Alliance. I hope it will be a European university, since we are in for the second round of applications. And it's an alliance between the universities that are listed here: Aarhus in Denmark, Belgrade, Humboldt in Berlin, King's College in London, University of Louvain, University of Oslo in Norway, and Université de Paris, which is the merge of the Université Diderot and Descartes. Next, please. Yes, so you see them here again, 7 universities, about a little more than 300,000 students, and just one vision. And the vision statement is next. The vision statement is here. Next, please. And it, of course, makes all sense to ask whether it's still relevant, since this was a statement that was written and also agreed upon by all the EC2U members before the crisis. So let's look at some of the things that have happened since then for many of us, and this has taken us for many of those on this webinar most of our time since February or March. And personally, it has been 24 hours, 7 days a week. We've moved since then. We've suspended presence teaching. Next, we have interrupted lab research. It's now coming back. We've imposed teleworking university administration. This is not my university office. I've left my university office 3 months ago, and I haven't returned since then, as probably many of you. Social life on campus is now almost non-existent, and it slowly comes back, but it has huge impact not only on students, but on all the other aspects of the social life on campus. Closed schools results in problems for students and staff. Exchange of Erasmus international students have been significantly affected, not only this year, but probably also for the future years. There are financial and personal problems for students that we try to care for, and including financially supporting students, not only for accommodation, but also for life and health. Large written exams are made impossible, at least on site, on the buildings of the university. As I'm talking, about 10,000 students from the university are taking their exam online. International travel, visitors, conference suspended. All this has had a huge impact next. And we have had to take decisions that were sometimes politically influenced. Of course, what the university does says also something about the society as a whole. So there has been a close collaboration between the political sphere, and all this has, of course, immediate effects, financial effects, but also potentially long-term financial impact on, particularly on publicly funded universities. So next, so what's left after all this, what I've described, what's left of a vision statement like this? And I'd like to argue, of course, that it nevertheless is still very valid. One of our mission is written this way: mobilize knowledge for impact. So next, what has the COVID-19 crisis brought or has given as information regarding that aspect? So it certainly the crisis, to my view, has confirmed very strongly the university's essential role in society. Every day I get reports on how university professors and researchers intervene in the media. And probably for these last weeks, also the last months, this has been multiplied by 3 or 4. So helping the public understand what the crisis is about, helping policy making, offering solutions to protect everyone's health, including in the university hospitals, and university as role model. What university does, what university do also has impact in schools and has impacts on university as a whole. In particular, in the context next of Circle U, we wanted to concentrate to mobilize our knowledge for impact on issues of global health, and it's particularly appropriate in this case, climate and democracy. So clearly, the objectives there were plainly in a right context. Next slide. Then we want also in our vision to have research intensive and interdisciplinary university that also partner with civil society, business, and the public sector. What has the crisis brought to our attention is that tackling global societal challenges requires clearly, of course, crossing disciplinary boundaries, but that's already very much into the direction that European institutions wants to move the university. So it's really research intensive, interdisciplinary, but also that needs strong links with academic and non-academic stakeholders, not only for creating innovative solutions, but co-constructing policies. Clearly, a crisis like this needs not only university to be present, but also them to interact with and help to co-construct policy. So next, on the Circle U projects, we have precisely that in mind. It was written before I said the crisis of creating new platforms to achieve this all-in-one with all these actors present, and not only university present, but also those in charge of co-constructing policies. So it's a second aspect of our vision. The third one is a European university, of course. Next, what the crisis has shown us the importance, of course, of bringing Europe closer together, in particular in the management of a crisis like this, to contribute to build a broader European identity and to keep strong relations with non-EU partners as well. So, of course, a crisis, a virus, no borders, but the same is true for air pollution, for example, or water, or on many issues. A very strong collaboration, including between universities, is extremely important. So next, at the Circle U Alliance, University Alliance, we want to develop models that respect specificities and also builds on our diverse relationships within the EU. So some of the members of Circle U are founding members of the European Union, but then we have also Denmark, the UK, Norway, including Serbia. So it shows the diversity, and when we interact with our students, what they very much care about too is to keep some of these differences and not to have something that is completely homogeneous, but nevertheless that brings Europe together, in particular in contexts such as the crisis that we have now at European scale. Next slide, please. A fourth aspect is to have an inclusive European university. So next, the COVID crisis has shown, of course, for many of the universities how distance learning can be source of opportunities, but they're also a very strong disruption. So they need reliability of the IT infrastructure. There is a loss of the human interaction between teacher and students, loss, of course, of the extra academic student activities that are extremely important for students to feel like being part of a cohort and keeping, in particular, the students, the first-year students, and to keep alive their connections and their motivation for their studies. And it has also outlined, of course, the reduced international mobility, but also the IT gap for teachers and students. When a student takes an online lesson with 2 or 3 screens in a quiet room, it's not quite the same as with a good internet connection. We can easily imagine also students of a completely different type, and these are also there. And so the inclusiveness needs to be a source of close attention. In Circle U, next slide, please. In Circle U, we want to reinvent mobility and develop joint mobility policy that foster not only inclusive, but also environmentally and inclusive mobility, as well as quality standards for virtual learning. So these aspects need to be taken care of for true mobility for all our students. So next slide. So with this, I close my presentation here, just with the argument that what the crisis has shown is how much these university alliances certainly are one of the right tools to respond to crises like this, not only this one, but probably also the ones that are to come. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Vincent, for this very insightful overview of the COVID-19 impact. I think it is indeed very interesting to see how alliances can bring part of the solution. I suggest that you stay with us and you will join us again for the discussion a bit later on. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Professor Antonella Forlino from Pavia, representing the EC2U Alliance, and the title of your presentation, Antonella, is For a Sustainable EC2U Alliance, the Role of a Central Interconnectivity Platform, the EC2U Connect Centre. Antonella, please.
Well, thank you very much and good afternoon to everybody. It is a great pleasure to present at this open section of European University Alliances. I have just been appointed as Vice-Rector for Internationalisation at the University of Pavia. So I am the last one that joined actually the creation of the European Campus of City University Alliance, EC2U, that I'm going to present, but I was just nominated on time to be involved in the submission of this project that is actually under evaluation. So it's not still a financial alliance, but we really hope it will be. So that's what I'm going to talk about in the next 10 minutes, our strategy to make this alliance actually implementable and sustainable. So EC2U include 7 different universities spread over Europe from north to south, from east to west. The coordinator is the University of Poitiers, and together with Poitiers, also the University of Coimbra, of Iași, Jena, Pavia, Salamanca, and Turku are members of the alliance. EC2U include 30 associated partners, and among them we have municipalities, we have a technological park, student association, and also national accreditation bodies. And Coimbra Group is also supporting the alliance. A total number of over 160 students and 20,000 of staff are involved in the alliance that will reach over 1 million existing citizens. Next. So the 7 universities that actually participate in the alliance already in the last 10 years share a peer-reviewed journal paper in different areas of science like humanities, physics and engineering, energy and environmental science, earth and biology. And these strongly support the commitment to join their effort in the success of this alliance in a specific field that they are very interested on. And if I can have the next slide, I will explain briefly how the alliance will be actually structured. We foresee the formation or the creation of 3 virtual institutes that will be focusing on education, research, innovation, service to society, within 3 of the UN SDG, namely the good health and well-being, the quality education, and the sustainable cities and communities. And these 3 virtual institutes will actually implement, we'll start with implementing 3 joint master degree that will be multilingual, international, and intercultural. And all the partners in this alliance will definitely contribute for the success of the alliance themselves. And actually talk about a virtual institute, it really fit very well with the crisis that all of us is living right now. We really needed to improve the possibility for students to have virtual exchange together with a personal exchange. So the structure of the EC2 really fit very well on the pandemic situation that we are living in now. If I can have the next slide, please. So now it's come to sustainability. Well, in order to really make sustainable the first 3 joint EC2U master programs and the mobility that will not be only physical, but we also foresee virtual and blended, and this fits very well with the pandemic situation. And the sustainability of the 3 virtual institutes really requires something innovative in terms of sharing resources. And indeed, we foresee a completely new and innovative way to share student, staff data and resource. And we name this a new way to share data EC2U Connect Centre. If I can have the next slide. When it comes to share data, the more easy thing that we can think about is actually to do that manually. Meaning when you have to share data from one university to the other, what you can do is basically extract and reinsert data on a case-by-case basis. But this, although is quite common, is very time-consuming, and definitely, as you all well know, I'm sure, it is really error-prone, and the risk of misalignment are quite high. So a solution could be to do an automated data exchange on a bilateral basis. But also this is quite challenging because it incurs in a quadratic increase in terms of cost for setup and for maintenance. And especially because each bilateral network will require a specific content, specific schema, specific format, specific protocols. And already for an alliance with 7 partners like EC2U, we will foresee 42 exchange channels, too many. And the implementability of this assay will be costly, and extend this kind of process to other alliances will not be really appealing. So if I can have the next slide, a possibility to solve this problem will be to create a centralized database storing personal data. And this will be quite easy to manage, but then we will face a problem of privacy, and also in terms of political and technical constraints, it will not be an easy solution for sharing data resources. So what we actually foresee in EC2U, if I can have the next slide, please, is what we call the EC2U Connect Centre. So it's a complicated slide. Try to make as easy as possible the explanation. So what we foresee with the EC2U Connect Centre? Well, the EC2U Connect Centre will basically define shared data models, interchange platform, and interchange protocol on top of open data interchange solution standardized by the World Wide Web Consortium within the resource description framework. So we will not create anything new. We will use stuff that is already in place. We'll adapt that to our alliance. And the Connect Centre will actually not be responsible for data storing outside the master system, but it will allow processing data, responses, requests throughout a local adapter. And this will be a dynamic way to exchange data between the partners. Will make really easy to implement the number of the university, and it will be, in our view, a very nice way to extend this sharing mode to other alliances. If I can have the next slide, the other beauty of the EC2 Connect Centre is that it will actually allow to create the EC2U card that will be based on the European Student Card Initiative, and it will be extended not only to students, but also to staff. And it will allow the connection between existing university card systems, so we will not bypass them, we will integrate them. It will allow the immediate recognition for the identity, and this will allow an easy access to all the EC2U services. And it will contain also EC2U open badges. And if I can have the next slide, just to give an overview of what we foresee the Connect Centre will be able to transform the EC2U Alliance by 2030. Well, we definitely hope to be able to deliver joint and personalized European diploma, and with our asset of sharing data, we believe it will be possible. We will extend the virtual institute concept not only to the 3 UN SDG that we foresee now, but also to other ones. We will be able to integrate the inter-university campus life with society, because the Connect Centre will also be implemented with Acknowledge Hub that will be open to third party. And finally, we foresee the creation of a yearly sustainable rendezvous between academia and citizen. And this will happen in the occasion of the EC2U Forum. If I can have the next slide. EC2U Forum will be central in the organization of our alliance, and it will be an unprecedented system that allows not only the governance of the university, but also the 7 cities and also the local, regional, and international stakeholder. Will be a place where all these people will meet, will discuss, will build solutions, and will be actually able to create an inclusive, democratic, and more fair society. And this will definitely be possible thanks to the new way of sharing data that we actually envisage in our alliance. So if I can get the next slide, that will be my final slide. I will leave you with our website. I hope you will navigate on it, and I will give you also the contact of the alliance. I will be happy to answer any question, to share our experience, and to get experience from the other alliances. I thank you, of course, for the attention, and if you have any question, of course, I'm open to take any.
Thank you very much, Antonella. Perfect timing, and I should say that I appreciate the fact that you also gave other views on the sustainability, in particular the operational aspect. But we will come back to this when we will further discuss a bit later on. Now it is my pleasure to invite Lenka Rovna, Vice-Rector for European Affairs at Charles University in Prague, representing 4EU+. And the title of your speech, Lenka, if you can join us, is Synergy Between Research and Education, the story of 4EU+. We are waiting for you, Lenka. You need to, yes.
Thank you, Ludovic.
Thank you.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, I am very happy for the opportunity to introduce to you the European University Alliance for EU+. Besides demonstrating the synergy of research and education, I would also like to introduce to you comparison between European integration process and the formation of European University Alliances. This is close to my academic background of a Jean Monnet Chair in European Integration Studies. Next one, please. The Alliance for EU+ was formed at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, and it is composed of 6 partners: Sorbonne University, Heidelberg, University of Milan, Charles University, University of Warsaw, and University of Copenhagen. We are large, comprehensive, research-intensive institutions with similar characteristics. The alliance was structured along long-lasting cooperation. The number of joint publications, research teams, and even study programs was impressive, but mostly composed by 2 or 3 partners. Next one, please. Next, yes, thank you. What are the first lessons learned? First, the mission statement and our plans, our visions, go beyond the pilot phase of the European University. like in European integration, there is no finality, there is a process of deepening and widening of our cooperation. Second, this is the value of trust and openness. Our mutual cooperation is a continuous process of a goodwill to find the best solution inclusive for all. Finding sort of Brussels compromise, we would say. Third, research and education are inseparable. They are enriching each other. Our universities have them in their genes. And fourth, this is necessity of mutual interaction, what I call Europeanization of for EU+. And there are two processes, if I may ask for the next slide, please. And this is the process going in the circle, so top down and bottom up. As to top down, that the top initiates, assists, and encourages the teams, but the teams come up with ideas, initiatives, and activities. And the process which goes in circles and there is interaction of both levels, that is then resulting in deepening of cooperation and creating community at both levels. Next one, please. What are the challenges? So the first one is that there are different models of governance. I mean top-down, because it's necessary to embed the 4EU+ governance into the structure of our universities, that there are more actors at more levels. We have universities with their faculties, centers, staff, students, and their institutions. And then 4EU+ governance is penetrating, in fact, all levels. Then also we have to accommodate changes in the university governing bodies. On June 17th, there will be elections at Warsaw University, next year Sorbonne, and the year after at Charles University, and new rectors and new teams will be coming. Second, this is initiation of faculties. It means the bottom-up process, and this is a constant process of work with the teams. I think we have to share a lot of enthusiasm with them to persuade them that this is better to do things together and that they can benefit. Third, it is also communication, because there is a constant communication, either horizontal level among partners at different levels, because these are not only rectors, vice-rectors, but these are our staff, academics, students who are cooperating, but also vertical levels. I can also, if in the debate you would be interested, elaborate on the communication means provided. Next one, please. I have promised the story of the flagships. So when 4EU+ started at the beginning of 2008 on already existing or initiated cooperation of many interdisciplinary teams, we at that time registered more than 100. And we clustered them into 4 flagships according to their topics. And member universities of 4EU+ finance numerous meetings and first activities. To give you some examples, for instance, doctoral school in mathematics in Prague in fall 2018, or seminar 4EU+ against cancer in Paris in spring 2019. We very much welcome also the new activities, the top-up from DG Research, which is going to balance the research and education. And So if I may ask for the next one. So that in the fall 2019, that the Erasmus Plus call stressed educational aspect and boosted synergies between research and education, and flagship and research teams with their educational dimension are the cornerstones of 4EU Plus. They are embedded in 4EU Plus governing architecture and decision-making process. For instance, they are including in grant selection process. Regarding the flagships, you can have a look. As I said, we have 4 flagships. The flagship number 1 is coordinated by Charles University jointly with Milano and Heidelberg. And to give you some examples of the themes I have mentioned already, for EU Plus against cancer, or it is aging in urban society, and many other themes. The flagship number 2, which is coordinated by Warsaw University, is mainly focused on social sciences and humanities, but also data collection. And to give an example, there is a research and teaching network, Plurality of Memories, preparing the first MA European Memory Studies. The third flagship, which is chaired and coordinated by Heidelberg University, is concentrating on mathematics and data, communication, computation. To give an example of a theme, this is the mathematics of high performance computing. Flagship number 4 is coordinated by Sorbonne University, and to give an example of one of the themes, this is environmental change detection and assessment, training in physical geography with field trips to Alps and Greenland. So if we can go to next slide, please. The problems of sustainability were tackled by my predecessors. What I said, there are key internal enablers. I referred to seed funding, which came from our home universities, which devoted substantial amount of money. On the top of that, for instance, Charles University gave twice 200,000 euros to mini grants. Now Warsaw is launching a new research and program with pedagogical outputs as well. The question is what to do after COVID, because the budgets are decreasing. We spoke already about external enablers, and it's European funds and national co-financing. Not everyone is as lucky as, for instance, Czech universities or French. It's not the case in Denmark. If we can look at the other one, the next slide, please. So I see that the time is running. So my predecessors also spoke about the impact of COVID. So on one hand, our activities were speeded up and they all took place online, so we didn't miss anything. We missed each other, of course. And what is nice is the willingness to combine physical and online activities and to learn from each other, that we were worried that some colleagues would not be so open to digitalization. But of course, some processes were slowed down, like finalization of the governance or communication with associated partners. I would like to sum up. So the conclusions, I would like to quote the mission statement, that together we aim to create a truly integrated European university system by 2025. First, for me, for EU Plus, represents a model of differentiated integration with deepening of integration on both levels within for EU Plus, on the level of governance, but also on the level of academics, students and staff, and creating authentic community, I would say European demos. Then this is also strengthening of integration and Europeanization process in European higher education and research area, and also deepening of integration of European universities and creation of truly European communities have so-called Jean Monnet spillover effect to society. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Lenka. So I would like now to call back Vincent and Antonella to join us for the question and answer session. Thank you for joining. Vincent as well, if Vincent is still with us.
Yes. Technology is not always that easy, right?
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good transition, Vincent. Thank you, because talking about technology, we receive questions on the chat box, and one of them is actually that we all saw, including in your presentation, that indeed universities had the capacity to respond very quickly to the challenges of the COVID-19 crisis, including by switching almost entirely to the online mode. But do you agree with the following statement that physical mobility and physical exchange will never be replaced completely by virtual exchanges? Maybe Vincent, you can start.
Yes, of course, but I would say the same for the students that are in their own home country, right? So the student these are also the testimony we get from our students, is that they're missing so much the presence on campus and being part of a cohort and participating into something all together. And so it's completely essential, not only for these students. Of course, we can do marvelous things with online teaching, but it will never be the same as being on site. And so the same is true, of course, for international students and for mobility and for getting the experience of sending a student from Brussels to Warsaw or to Madrid and spending 6 months or a year there. If you want to make true Europeans, there is no other way than this one, right? So this is, and having them just taking the online course of Warsaw or Madrid, it's just completely different. So of course, mobility needs to be physical mobility. You need really to sense what's going on in the country and develop an attachment that stays then for a lifetime. And so, of course, virtual mobility will not replace true physical mobility.
Antonella, maybe a short viewpoint on this?
Absolutely, I agree with Vincent. Personal will be a necessary way to allow students to move from one university to the other, and so much that we can do in terms of virtual exchange to make really intercultural the exchange. Still, I think that personal as other feelings, the student will really live within the society of the different country, not only university, but also the city where they're going. And if I can also add something to that, I think for educator as well, have the student from foreign country in person is different than to see them on a screen. At least I'm a person-to-person educator, so I really like to have the student in front of me. I do believe that it gets something more to both the student and the educator.
Absolutely. We have seen actually in your different presentations, also in the previous ones, that there are different aspects of the expected sustainability. We have seen that there is indeed concerns about the financial, about the political. For instance, Antonella, you focused on the operational, but don't you think that there is also a philosophical aspect to the sustainability? And what I mean by that is the necessary link with the citizens and the local stakeholders. And maybe Lenka, you can react to this point.
If I may, and this is connected with your previous question, and this was about physical mobility, that the learning process is not only in the classroom, that it's going on around. So this means that if students or staff can become also members of larger community, society, can get involved with society, so it's also important. And if I make one brief comment, with my students, we started our teaching from one week to another. And after our classes, we agreed that we all learned a lot, but we were feeling exhausted. But when being in the classroom after the class, we always feel full of energy. So I think that this personal contact is also very important.
Thank you. Vincent, about the link with citizens?
Well, there are great expectations from the citizens, right, towards universities. And we have there a major role to play, and not only, of course, in education terms, but also in research. We see it very much that citizens want to be involved in defining what, and so this is certainly a challenge for European research and also for education. So indeed, this crisis has also shown how much universities are involved in society. As I was saying in my presentation, what we are discussing now with our political authorities is whether for the exam session in August, students will come on site or not. If we say so now, it signals something in society that goes well beyond universities. So what the university does is a role model also for society. So it's definitely extremely important, and also to keep this connection with citizens.
Antonella?
Yeah, I think that is fundamental to have a sharing between university and society. And again, it is necessary for both parties. The society needs to be aware of the relevance of the university, and the only way that they can do that is if we can actually make our message clear to them. So we need really to be within the society with our message, maybe simple, maybe find a way to get in touch with them. On the same way, we need also to feel what the society really needs and make this feeling our problem and try to solve them. So it's really, I believe, a mutual exchange. We really need to work for that in the university in general, but I think with the Alliance we have even higher chances because we can do that in a larger scale.
Lenka, and this will be the final word of this discussion point.
Yes, so I think Vincent spoke about the experiences during COVID, and this was experience of our students, our medical students who were in hospitals, who were testing, who were also babysitting, those from the pedagogical faculty. So I think that interlink between students and society was very strong and very visible at all our universities.
Thank you very much to the three of you for being with us today. Again, this could last many hours for such a very interesting topic. So thanks again for joining.